Alright, so we've got a topic that we really need to discuss that apparently happened in November, and no one is talking about this. I'm surprised no one is talking about this. I'm actually really shocked. But it is a big deal because it regards like the whole trajectory of the franchise post the halfway point of the franchise, which would have been around 2006. Although now it's like 31 years. But nonetheless, Yuji Naka has come out and said some shit, and we need to talk about it. So we're going to get to all this right now. But if you're subscribed to the channel already, please make sure to subscribe. We're trying to hit 100,000 subscribers and hopefully 7,000 subscribers before DLC Frontiers comes out. I know what you're thinking, right? Yuji Naka said something. Why should we believe it, right? He just got arrested twice for insider trading, therefore his word is not bond. Well, I mean, Izuka says all sorts of shit and you still believe him. So, at the end of the day, based on what I'm reading, it makes a lot more logical sense because it regards his departure in 2006. If you don't already know, 06 was coming out. He left in the middle of development. On top of that, Sega split the team of 06. Half of them went to go work on Secret Rings so they can make that Wii money instead of focusing on the PS3 and 360 game. And we all know how that turned out. I don't need to do a whole lecture on that. But we've got this article here, and this is from the 30th of November. So this is a while ago. And it says from Sawasaki, Yuji Naka says, I didn't leave Sonic Team. Sega removed me for discussing developer salaries. So the article here says Sonic co-creator and former Sonic Team lead Yuji Naka claimed in a new series of tweets how he didn't willingly leave Sonic Team and had been removed by Sega while discussing the salaries of the developers during the development of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 and Phantasy Star Universe, with these titles requiring more resources and budget. Naka states he intended to continue to work on the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise prior to being removed with no intention of leaving. Following this, Naka founded Probe the same year, which is an independent game company. More recently, Naka joined Square Enix, directed Balan Wonderworld, with co-creator Naoto Oshima. Balan Wonderworld, I don't know why they mentioned Balan Wonderworld in the article. They're doing that shit that people do when they mention Sonic, where they just talk about a bunch of shit. But yes, they were referencing this tweet. So if we look here, right, someone tweets at Yuji Naka and says, thank you very much for creating Balan Wonderworld. Even though it was a negative experience for Mr. Naka, it was a game that left a deep impression on me. A very deep impression of mid, okay? Naka quote tweets in response, thank you, eases my heartache a little when I see even one person like this. I'll never forgive anyone who put out material with lies as documentation for a court case. I have proof of the lies and hope to publish it someday. And someone tweeted back, and it's been deleted though. I remember seeing it when the tweets were there, but I didn't bother reading them in full. But Naka basically responding to this guy. We're asking about Sonic, because everything gets turned into the Sonic, right? And it says here, it seems that many people other than myself have been suddenly removed from their positions and jobs, and I have seen people who have actually been removed. So he's splitting the tea, right? And then he brings up Sega, says, Sega also kicked me out, right? In Japan, there is a saying, don't get caught up in long things, I just want to make good games. I don't know how perfect that transition or that translation is, but he mentions Sega kicking him out. And he goes further. He says here, it wasn't my intention. I intended to stay at Sega until I retired. That's why I still like Sega. I don't know why you still like them if they fired you. Wouldn't that make you dislike them because they made you leave and you didn't want to leave? But okay. But again, we can't see the full context because the guy deleted his tweets clearly. So, you know, at the end of the day, there's one more tweet here. It says, it wasn't time to leave, was it? Like, it wasn't his time to go, essentially. I'm making Sonic 2006 for the 15th anniversary of Sonic, and I'm also making Phantasy Star Universe. At that time, when I talked about the salary of all the developers, not about me, I was suddenly removed. You were in a great position. I mean, I was in a great position. Probably bad translation, again, something like that. But basically, what Yuji Naka is saying is, listen, I didn't want to leave. I just did something that I was supposed to do, and they got rid of me. Which is why I still like the company, even though, you know, I got fired. Clearly, he must have been in the wrong to do this. I mean, I don't really know too much about work rules and shit like that, but I know, based on watching Suits, that you're not supposed to reveal the salaries of people within the company. You're not supposed to do that shit. It's supposed to be confidential. So for him saying that he talked about the salary of his developers and then they sacked him, I guess it makes logical sense at the end of the day. So I mean, people might say Yuji Naka's word is not credible, but I find it far more believable that he was fired than he chose to leave, because it makes no sense. No video game developer who is the head of the team would leave in the middle of the development of a game. Like, at least wait for the game to come out, right? It just seems so ridiculous that he would have just left. Like, how bad could the conditions have been at that company for him to have just left? I mean, it must have been really bad if that was how it went down. But clearly, I don't believe that's the case. I believe that they did fire him because, you know, he's the head of the team. Like, even if developers were being crunched, like, at least he would be in a decent position, right? So he obviously overstepped, did something he wasn't supposed to do, and they kicked him out for it, which is actually surprising that they would do such a thing, knowing that he is the head of the team and the game wasn't out yet. I mean, they could have waited for the game to drop. But then again, Sega were their own worst enemy, because I don't know if he was the one who decided to split the team to do Super Rings, or if that was someone above him at Sega. But if they were making decisions like split the team and not delay 06, then they weren't making the best decisions anyway. I feel like keeping him around till the game is out would have made the most sense. Maybe they feel they could do it without him. They probably could have done it without him, let's be real. Like, 06 could have come out just fine had they given it more time in the oven. They didn't need Naka there for the game to turn out polished, okay? You could have sacked him, delayed 06 by a year, and still had Secret Rings come out, and 06 come out. I mean, Secret Rings dropped in like 07 anyway. They could have dropped Secret Rings and 06 around the same time. Although maybe that would have cannibalized sales, although they're on different systems. But they could have done a thing like how Rush and Shadow dropped around like the same day. They could have been like Secret Rings on the Wii, for those who are on the Wii, and those who got PS3 360, 06. So if you got one of those consoles, like a PS3 360 or a Wii, then you're getting something. If you own both, like a Wii and a PS3 360, you're getting 2 Sonic games in one day. Hardcore Sonic fans are still gonna cop, right? And less hardcore fans will just get one or the other. I mean, you'll have been selling 2 Pokemon games at the same time. 2 completely different Sonic games are actually different. I feel like that would have worked. But this is not gonna turn into a video about how, you know, they rushed 06, because that's a whole separate debate. But it's just interesting to think that Naka might have still remained the head of Sonic Team, and essentially the whole trajectory of the franchise would have been different. Had he not been fucking around revealing developer salaries, the games he would have been getting would have been games that Naka wanted, and not Izuka or the guy who made Unleashed, which is different because Izuka wasn't head of the team yet. We might not have gotten Unleashed, Colors, Generation, all these games. We could have been on the Naka train, or whatever he would have wanted could have been a completely different thing. Would it have been Adventure 3? Would it have been some other shit? I don't know. But we know that Izuka and Naka's philosophies on what Sonic should be are different. So even though we don't know exactly how it would have turned out, we'll never know because it's like the crossroads that were never traveled. We do know for a fact that the whole last 15 years of Sonic would have been very different had Naka not done this shit and he had stuck around. So yeah, it's one of those things where shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? What could have been? Would it have been bad? Would it have been worse? I feel like it would have been bad. I'm sorry, but like in the years that have passed 06, I mean, I loved Unleashed, obviously. I love Generations, and yeah, that's it. Mania, I mean, that was Christian Whitehead, but I mean, Izuka was involved, fine. We could argue that maybe Naka would have turned it down. I don't know if he would have, but that's like 3 things, and I guess Frontiers is cool, but like Unleashed, Generations, and Mania are the only ones that I'd put in, like, I was gonna say in like S tier, but Generations is more like an A because Classic Sonic is still there. But like A to S tier, Frontier is like a B. So it's like 3 games really. So it would have been interesting if Naka would have gotten us more than 3. That I would have been like, I fucks with this post 06, you know. Well, it's interesting. One of those things we'll never truly know. But let me know what you guys think about this. Yuji Naka claims that he did not willingly leave. He was sacked for revealing the salaries of developers. What do you think about this? Do you believe him? Do you think the trajectory of the franchise would have been significantly different compared to had he stayed? Or do you think it would have only been minorly different? And would you have taken the risk and seen what was under the Naka door? Or are you happy to stay under the Izuka door because you don't want to lose Unleashed? I don't know. And of course, a big shout out to all my channel members. If you want to become a channel member, you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. But yeah, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. Make sure to check out the non-Sonic channel. The link will be in the description. But that's all I have to say right now. So, Remy out.